First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
We'll get to Colin Kaepernick's workout in just a second, but first, some highlights from yesterday. Colts and Jags. Marlon Mack using two
It was
spin
awesome.
moves
Trust
to
us,
get to
it
the
was
outside.
awesome. It's gone now, but it was great. Look at this catch, though.
Little Cowboys.
That's unbelievable. Michael Gallup had a huge game yesterday.
And now we're back to Marlon Mack. Look at that. Look at him go.
Little
He has
remix
to leave
with the
the
highlights.
game with
Is that
that
what we doing?
broken hand, which is a shame because he was having a tremendous game.
His backup, though, stepped in and played great. You're absolutely right, Jenna. They ran all over Jacksonville. I don't think he broke his hand on that little stiff arm there. And now we get Michael Gallup again.
There
I
you
like
go.
this.
Nice adjustment to make a huge catch.
How did he make this catch, Canny?
I don't know how he made it. He had to be draped all over him.
We got Marlon Mack again.
Marlon Mack.
I like
Okay,
it.
guys, just follow along.
If we're going to show all of these Colts highlights, we're not going to show the celebration by Quentin Nelson in the offensive line?
Oh,
Doing the catch
listen,
thing?
man. I can take Marlon. But listen, I won a lot of money on the Colts yesterday, a lot. So just keep showing it. Doesn't bother me.
Why don't you just
Or
tell me which highlight you want us to play?
Let's go. Can we see a Lamar Jackson highlight, Jenna?
Okay. Here we go. Let's switch to Lamar Jackson.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
More Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack
Just
was
me counting my money.
ended.
Oh, here's Lamar. I won money in this game, too.
Just making guys miss.
That was an awesome 39-yard run. He made 6 Texas defenders miss tackles.
You know what I wonder? I wonder what Marlon Mack did yesterday.
Well, I think he was great. They were 2.5-point favorites. These guys, 4.5-point favorites. They both covered by $1 million. I'm in a great mood. Won a lot of money.
More from this game.
Oh,
here.
more
Mark
Lamar.
Ingram putting on the brakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice
Look at that.
Little
down
stop
for
and
him.
start right there, getting north and south. I like it. 2 touchdown catches from Mark Ingram out of the backfield yesterday.
When your quarterback throws you a couple touchdown passes and you're a running back, that's what leads to that press conference enthusiasm.
Oh, 100%.
It's excited for him, man. Drew Brees wasn't incorporating him in the pass game like this. That was Alvin Kamara's territory.
Niners, Cardinals, hope you didn't bet on this game. Deebo Samuel showing some tremendous concentration with that amazing catch off Kevin.
In between 2 Cards defenders, that is unbelievable. Just the concentration that it takes to complete the catch right there. That's big time right there. High degree of difficulty.
Jimmy G coming off a low point for him professionally, that game and the way he played on national television against Seattle in that loss. He had a couple bad turnovers in this game, but they could not get the running game going, and he throws for 400. He was sensational.
Can't throw it to the other team in the red zone.
Correct.
Can't do that.
Couldn't finish those butt first fast enough.
I enjoyed it. I like
I know
more of
you
those.
do. Potluck. Moving on, Colin Kaepernick finally had his big workout for NFL teams, at least some of them. Cap hasn't played an actual NFL game since January 1st, 2017. That is 1,051 days ago. On Saturday, he worked out in front of 8 NFL team representatives at an Atlanta area high school. This was after canceling the workout in front of 25 team reps at the Falcons practice facility when he and the NFL couldn't agree on parameters for the workout. Here's Kaepernick after his workout on Saturday.
We're out here. We're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team, interview with any team at any time. I've been ready. I'm staying ready, and I'll continue to be ready.
Kenny, what was your reaction to everything that happened this weekend?
I thought it was a bad look for all involved. It amounted to a PR stunt for both sides. It wasn't about trying to get Kaepernick a fair and equitable opportunity for employment. It was about both sides trying to protect their own interests. I thought they all had ulterior motives. From the NFL's perspective, they're trying to protect against any liability and future litigation brought against them by Colin Kaepernick, you know, in defense of their position and him not having a job. What they're worried about is Cap dragging them back into court and saying that, you know what, because they had to settle the initial suit, they're retaliating against me by not giving me an opportunity to play when I'm clearly one of the best 100 quarterbacks in the world. From Kaepernick's standpoint, that's what he's trying to protect. That's why he didn't sign the waiver that the NFL had for him. I think they had some language in there that included some employment-related issues, as well as the health waiver for the workout that he was scheduled to have, which is why he changed the location and made it 45 minutes away from the Atlanta Falcons facility, where only 8 of the 25 scouts that were supposed to come down and watch him were able to actually get a look at him. But, I mean, from Kaepernick's standpoint, I think he's more interested in being a martyr than actually being out there on the football field, because there are a couple of things in here that are hard to explain. First of all, the logistics of it. If you know that the NFL is going to have you sign a waiver, try to get that information earlier, so that if there there is some disagreement, that you can make an adjustment and you actually have time, and the scouts that actually do want to come see you have an opportunity to do it. Changing it the day of, I mean, that's a tough ask when all of these people are adjusting their schedules just to come and see you. And then showing up to that workout in a Kunta Kinte shirt, to me, it didn't seem like Cap was as concerned about putting his best foot forward for NFL teams. I think he was more concerned with sending a message.
Well, he certainly is not going to sacrifice any of his principles in order to get back in football. He's made that clear. And I think that is one of the things that makes him so admirable, but it also has been one of the things that has kept him out of the league. That's obviously the case. From kneeling to everything since then, he has put principles ahead of profession at every stance, and to me, that's very, very honorable. But there are two major points on this, to me, that are more important than all of the other noise combined. And the first one is what we saw in that video and what the anonymous NFL exec who was quoted on this said. Colin Kaepernick still, obviously, can play. And if we want this to not be about politics, not to be about social justice, not to be about ulterior motives, can he play should trump everything else. Because I'm certain if it were in the other direction, it would. If all of the, quote, distractions, unquote, were removed, and he wasn't wearing the T-shirt and he worked out, but he's throwing the ball into the dirt, then none of it matters. Despite the fact that he still clearly can play, there is still speculation in the hours and days since this has happened. Well, how much does he want it? Well, he wants it badly enough. How long has it been since he played, Jenna? 1,051 days?
That's it.
He wants it badly enough that he has worked out 5 or 6 days a week, every week since then. He wants it badly enough that he has stayed in shape for this moment. Being able to throw a football like that and practicing that has no effective use in the real world aside from playing professional football. So he wants it badly enough to keep his skill level high enough if the opportunity ever were to arise. And that should be all that matters, if we're being honest here. But it clearly isn't, which brings me to the second point here. Why does the onus continue to be put on the wronged party in this to decide, okay, I'll relent on this. You guys want me to sign a waiver that is not the traditional waiver. You want, instead of the traditional injury waiver, you want me to sign a waiver that gives away some of my rights. Well, I want to get back in football so badly, I'll do it. You want me to disallow, you want to disallow the media from attending. I'm very curious what the narrative would have been if this whole thing got scotched because the NFL said, we want the media in. And Cap said, no, can't have the media in, can't live stream it, can't broadcast it. I feel like people would say, well, Cap has something to hide. But because the other point that Cap says he did not agree was the waiver and the lack of media access. Cap wanted the entire world to be able to see it, so there could be no, well, his arm is not what it once was. And I know some will say, well, if Colin desperately wants to get back in football, he should do anything it takes to get back in football. I would argue, if the NFL wants to show they have not blackballed a player, they should not add language to a waiver that you know could be problematic and have an issue with open and fair media access. To me, those are two very obvious points. And so, is Colin Kaepernick doing everything in his power to get back in pro football? No, because he has made it clear from the beginning that his principles are going to be more important than anything else. But he is doing everything in his power to be ready if teams will move past their issue with his principles on this. And he showed that yesterday. And yet, once again, it's not about is he good enough to play football. It's about all the other things, which for the keep your politics out of my sports crowd, I would ask, well, isn't that inserting politics into sports if we are depriving the right to work, one of, you said 100, clearly 100, and almost certainly one of the 45 best quarterbacks alive?
No question about it, but here's the thing that I can't get past. Now, you're absolutely right. This is not about the NFL trying to give him a fair opportunity, because if they wanted to, this would have happened years ago, not in the middle of week 10 and 11 in the 2019 season when he hadn't played since, what, 2016?
Right.
So we're talking about a situation where clearly the NFL has an agenda, but my only issue with Cap is you have to know that they want you to sign a waiver before you work out. Why wouldn't you try to get your representation to get a copy of that sooner rather than later, so any type of disagreements that you and the NFL might have, you could potentially get those worked out ahead of Saturday's workout.
Why
to
does
actually
the venue change
this,
have to happen an
to
hour
change it the
before
day
the workout?
of is just unrealistic in terms of being able to expect everybody that was supposed to attend the workout at the Falcons facility to then shift course and go 30 miles away to another facility in Atlanta.
But why is the onus on the party who's been wronged?
Because the party who's been wronged wants desperately to be in the NFL. He wants to be in the NFL. So aren't you better off showcasing your skills? And if you have to swallow some pride, if that's really where you want to be, in front of 25 teams as opposed to in front of 8 teams?
I just want to be clear. What we're saying is, because I think everyone at the table recognizes, whether it was, direct or indirect, Colin Kaepernick's been unfairly denied employment over 3 years.
Yep.
So what we are asking him, when the NFL the night before presents him with a waiver with very curious language inserted in it and says, no media allowed. The only people who are going to be there are going to be NFL folks and your folks. Just trust us, though. Just trust us. We won't use this waiver against you. And just trust us that we won't all of a sudden, through our various media arms, leak, you looked terrible. That is a hell of an ask. It is an immense ask that just trust us on this, Colin. Even though for 3 years, you haven't been given a chance. Trust us that this one will be on the up and up, even though the night before it's not on the up and up, because we had language to a waiver that seems like it is not about injury, but more about litigation.
Well, here's the thing, Nick. I don't think you're wrong, but I also go back to the NFL and having a job in the National Football League being a privilege and not a right. And so Colin Kaepernick, yeah, even though it might not necessarily be fair to him that the NFL is asking him to go through all of these hoops and they've set up this workout, in a sense where it doesn't make any sense based on where they're at in the calendar. I mean, you still have to try to do everything you can with that opportunity that they are presenting you, and you have to try to get ahead of as much of this stuff as you possibly can before the actual workout is scheduled to take place. Now, I don't think it's a tough ask for Colin Kaepernick to show up not wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt. That's indefensible to me. It's inexplicable to wear a shirt that's referencing, a fictional account from Roots and talking about that, likening what happened to you to slavery. I just think that that's a bridge too far if you're Colin Kaepernick in terms of the messaging that you're sending to everyone that is watching your workout.
Look, I think you're both right, and note side one in all of this. I don't think you can come out and say the NFL looked great, and I don't think you can come out and say Colin Kaepernick did what he wanted to do this weekend. I think Colin Kaepernick deserved a bigger audience than just 8 teams, and I think the NFL will walk away saying, well, we tried to do that, and we're not going to give we're going to throw all our chips in, and Caps doesn't want to throw all his chips in, and in trying to placate both sides, or maybe not, I think you both walk away from this perhaps in the same place that you were beforehand. I don't know if Kaepernick is any closer to being signed by a team after this weekend.
Let me say this, though, Jenna. I think that there was a little bit of fault on both sides here in terms of how this entire thing played out, but I probably place more blame on the NFL because they set up this entire fiasco. This was a farce. This wasn't about giving Colin Kaepernick a fair opportunity. This was about them trying to protect their interests and avoid any liability that they would have if Colin Kaepernick were to drag them back to court.
If Colin Kaepernick looked terrible Saturday, pardon me, it would be the only thing that mattered. He looked great, so now it's about where the workout was, the T-shirt he wore, and whether or not he wants it badly enough, even though the only way he can look great is by, for 3 years, quietly with no television cameras, working out damn near every single day. And so the only thing I'll disagree with is I don't think this worked out poorly for the league. I think this worked out probably just about the way it wanted to, because now all of a sudden the scrutiny is on Cap, and the reason why the aggrieved party, the person who's had employment denied from him, it's his fault he's not in football when it's never been that.
All right, we got a break there. Let's talk some
Marlon Mack.
That actually
talk some more Marlon Mack.
I don't know if it's possible to talk any more Marlon Mack. Damn. Eagles, are they going to miss the playoffs? That's next up for us.
Not if they trade for Marlon Mack. It's after the deadline, but they should make it happen.